All You Need Is Kill is an anime movie based off of a manga that originally Edge of Tomorrow based their story off of. Whenever I was going into this movie, I didn't know that, so for a majority of it, I just thought they were ripping off beat for beat Edge of Tomorrow. If you've seen that movie, then you basically know the story of this. It goes into some slightly different directions towards the third act, but the first two acts are very similar in a lot of ways. Surprisingly, it is still quite action focused, though it doesn't feel like quite as tight of a performance of the main character and how they're written and structured as Tom Cruise is in Edge of Tomorrow. The biggest thing that this movie does have over that adaptation is that the visuals in this are really, really good. There's some solid trippy anime sequences that were really the highlight of the film. It works a lot better whenever it's going for more of a surrealist tone than a more story-driven, down-to-earth tone. Because a lot of the stuff, whenever looking into the alien culture and how they actually work and function, and a lot of the visuals that came with that made it a lot more interesting than when it was focusing on just the day-to-day lives of a couple people in this film. However, this movie does pale in comparison to Edge of Tomorrow through a few key aspects. While the animation does give it a really good personality, I feel like the action in this is kind of lacking compared to that in Edge of Tomorrow. I mean, it's not like the action in this movie is bad at all. The choreography is good, the colors are great, and you really do get a good sense of progression of the main character getting stronger. But there's just something about Edge of Tomorrow that really sucks you into its action, not only by the choreography, but how it seemed to escalate every single time. This movie doesn't do quite as good of a job, though it is not bad at all with trying to escalate that day after day. The biggest thing that makes Edge of Tomorrow a better adaptation than this one is that the main characters in that movie are just a lot more interesting to follow. I know that we're going for slightly different things, but in this movie, the characters are very melodramatic most of the time. The protagonist doesn't talk for a good chunk of the movie, and a lot of the actions that they do feel like we are watching them work towards a goal, but we don't really see a ton of development of them as people and characters through that working of a goal. Now, there is some at the end, but this is an aspect that I think Edge of Tomorrow does so much better. The relationship between Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt in that movie, this master and apprentice type of relationship, formed so many interesting scenes that really kept the plot going and made you a lot more invested in the action that was taking place. That's not to say, however, that this is a bad adaptation or a bad movie in general. It's just a little harder to recommend because we do have an adaptation that does do a better job of more interestingly adapting the source material than this. But hey, that's just what I thought. If you disagree with me, feel free to yell at me in the comments, and I'll see you next time.